You hear that? The dogs have survived the zombie apocalypse, ladies and gentlemen, they did it. My adventure began with me forgetting completely how to use a controller, so I just spammed buttons like an idiot in front of the devs. Once I got used to the controls, at least 10% of them, I started towards the main mission we were supposed to play, and then I 180'd and didn't. Because of that decision, I ended up immediately getting attacked by zombies, and my only saving grace was a lead pipe with a yield sign gorilla glued to it. Well, I beat the ever-living snot out of those zombies and made sure to pickpocket them for important things like nothing. Well, after being forced into combat, the next thing I realized was my greatest talent in Mirror's Edge was cosplaying a pancake on the sidewalk. I decided I probably need to practice my parkour. I stumbled upon a couple of humans being attacked by the infected, so naturally I dropped down and killed absolutely everyone on the entire block. My escapade of speed took me into what I figured was a shortcut through a safe building. Turns out it wasn't. One of my more brave endeavors was learning how to run the register at a fast food joint, and then also learning customer service at the same time. Realizing that I wasn't in any way progressing my character, I ran back across the entire town to where I was actually supposed to go. As to which I was berated 2 seconds after meeting the townsfolk.
I don't know what brings you here, but watch your back, Pilgrim. They ain't no one's friends.
What a loser. The main bazaar was filled with, well, bizarre people.
Found some powdered milk.
But this was not the life meant for me, so I burst through those doors and booked it right back out into my natural habitat, the zombie apocalypse. So this guy tried to surprise attack me with the ferocity of a snail. I was then approached by some dude who needed something lame.
Help. Please. We need help.
So naturally I said,
I can't help right now.
and I ditched the loser. I entered a building that was filled to the brim with zombies, so I used tactics and strategy to silently make my way around the room without alerting a single one. And so I left, immediately getting charged by a zombie, who I then used the classic hit his head into a street lamp move. I then walked into some weird situation if you don't have any context.
Things are better for us now, right?
Depends, doesn't it?
I witnessed a zombie trip out of a truck, so of course I beat him up, breaking my good lead pipe. Luckily, I had 15 more lead pipes, so I hit a guy in the head with it. I tried to bribe them by throwing coins at their faces, but that didn't seem to be what they wanted, so instead I tried to bribe them with throwing knives. It seemed to work slightly better. I somehow found a bow, so I was ready for anything, except my irrational fear of the night. Knowing that going into buildings at night was a horrendous mistake and could only end in tragedy, I immediately entered the nearest hatch with a ladder I could find. Since this was clearly a mistake, I just kept going further. I knew that there was nothing truly to fear but fear itself. Turns out zombies are made of pure 99% fear. And there I was, stuck in a one-way in, one-way out cellar where I had forgotten where the entrance was. Luckily, I had a fish scaling knife to fend off a waterfall of zombies. I took a moment to Skyrim into this room, unlocked some chests filled with vital things such as chocolate milk and Windex, and then obviously my next step was to consume blue shrooms to make things less scary. And after only 15 minutes of crying, I found my way out, where I immediately started crying again on demand like I was a subscription service. Well, instead of having a cop chase, Dying Light 2 just has a chase. Having literally zero idea where to go and the nerves of a tube of yogurt, I just booked it in any random direction that had the least amount of zombies. Turns out that direction didn't exist, so I had to compromise by failing at wall running and then getting eaten. Oh, it was all just a bad dream. All I had to do was silently make my way from here to the bazaar. After silently making my way to the bazaar undetected, I casually strolled inside to show everyone how chill of a person I was. Finally, I got to sleep until morning, but I forgot that I have a fear of sleeping. Well, morning came and I figured I'd start the day with firecrackers and murder. With the sun being up and the night being over, there was one thing I knew I needed to do: venture into a dark biohazardous zone with an ominous ladder. Well, it just so happens that this was actually a terrible idea. To make matters worse, I panicked and ran down further into the zombie-infested biohazard zone, barely making it out alive. But I wasn't gonna give up the good loot that was probably down there. I made some Molotovs and headed right back down. I wasn't even scared. I wasn't 60% scared. The moment I dropped down and chucked that Molotov, I knew I had done one thing wrong, and that thing was everything. I hacked into the zone further to come across another realization. This was now truly the worst idea ever. I booked it out of there past the volatile and made it out with plenty of health. You see all that red on my health bar? And with that, I made my grand escape. I ran over to have an engaging conversation with one of the most sophisticated characters in the game.
Hey, Herman. Where's Sophie?
Look at that sunrise. My next objective was to take out an entire enemy command station. I scouted out the entire area for intel with binoculars, and then I forgot all that intel the moment I put the binoculars down. Luckily for me, where I was going, I didn't need intel or binoculars, only my combat skills and wits about me. I snuck into the base completely undetected. Everything was going perfect. The only thing that could go wrong is if I missed this headshot, panicked through a Molotov cocktail, causing a propane tank to catch on fire and detonate, alerting all of the enemies to my location, as to which I'd have to fight them in pitch black darkness since I forgot my flashlight button, and within the panic I'd hit a gas lantern, lighting the entire room on fire, but somehow still managing to kill the boss. But that's a big if with my skills. So anyways, I helped some dudes that were being attacked by zombies. And then I helped some zombie being attacked by a dude. And then I went somewhere I deemed safe. Well, it wasn't.
Let's haul 'em in, boys.
Luckily, I had a giant warhammer with me in a dream. That dream was to survive long enough to open the world's first zombie circus. They sent archers after me, but that was okay because he fell off the ledge and landed in front of me like a sacrifice. I then politely approached the boss, who seemed to struggle with something called fighting back. Unfortunately, I ran out of stamina, so I just threw money at him until I regenerated, and then I punted him around the room. He looked frightened and confused, but that's okay because I wasn't. I then took all of his milk money. After a long day's work, I could finally get some sleep. This was going to be a very fun new day. Absolutely terrified of my raw drop-kicking talents, the bandits would rather run to the zombies than fight me. One by one, this town would fall to ruin at the hands of, or should I say, feet of me. I even helped out the zombies a bit, gave them some freebies. Then, I saw this guy perfectly lined up to perform a trick shot, which would have looked really cool. Taking a break from breaking enemies' kneecaps, I parkoured up a huge tower and found myself approaching two rather intense-looking guys who wanted to cut me a deal.
Get us out of the city, Pilgrim, to the nearest safe settlement. And no one will die here.
Naturally, I said,
I don't bargain with extortionists and murderers.
You...
he had no idea the mistake he had just made. But as I began to run, he knew he messed up. It was an absolute massacre of drop-kicking destruction. Two large rough bandits getting tossed around a room like a pillow. I did give this guy a chance to collect himself, but he was bad. And with that, I hopped across the city, taking out camps full of bandits, or at least I thought they were bandits at first.
Sweet weapon you got there, Lathan.
To justify my killing of not bandits, I killed actual bandits. So it kind of just like evens out a bit. I collected honey, as you do, and then I realized I needed to up my game and head to the big city. With my natural born ability to die to fall damage in almost every game, this would be fun. But since I now had a glider, I didn't have to worry about a thing. Well, except for all the bandits on the ground, who were quite drop-kickable if I do say so myself. I now had a mission to... Okay, I had two missions. First of all, to not go in there. But second, to scale the tallest building possible and perform the greatest stunts possible. And that is exactly what I did. I leapt from building to building like an ape who was released into New York. Until I found myself falling from that building. Which ended actually pretty okay and gave me an idea. So I went higher. And I went higher. And I went to the highest point I could, atop a building that towered above the rest of the pathetic little buildings. Here I made the wise choice of hurling myself off that building, perfectly landing on top of a zombie, which, if you know anything about zombies, they are known to completely break a fall 100%. With my newfound passion, I wandered deeper into the city to find the tallest towers I could. I scaled this giant forbidden slip and slide, which I did eventually run out of stamina on and slid right off, somehow managing to actually fall on top of a zombie. I eventually stumbled across the largest rope ride I'd ever taken, presumably up to a safe location. Well, it turns out that this was actually a well-fortified bandit summer camp where they had anti-drop kick measures in place, aka it was a building and I could fall off and die. My original intentions of just finding a good scenic location quickly turned into all-out combat atop one of the tallest buildings in the city. just like in real life. I finally found the big boss, so I drop-kicked his sidekick right into him, allowing me to perform the classic, what I like to call, double kill. With Big Boss dead, I drop-kicked every last guy who thought he could even remotely fight back against my sheer raw talent and skill. And I woke up this guy.
What?
And then I found a guy listening to his AirPods so he couldn't actually hear me at all. Problem here was that I also flung myself off the building in the process of kicking him. But I landed perfectly on his helmet.